Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time. Today's video we're going to be discussing the Wet n Wild palette that just recently released. If you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts, my opinions, or unpopular opinion, let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay guys, so let's talk about what the palette looks like. It does come in a well-packaged box like so. I was pretty impressed with the artwork, to be honest with you, or the packaging I should say. I do like the fact that it's like bright, vibrant, very pretty, nice kind of matte texture on the box. On the back you do get what the palette looks like on the inside. There is 64 grams, 2.26 ounces as far as it goes on the shades. Talc is the #1 ingredient as far as that goes. Getting right into the palette, the back of the palette has nothing on it. The front has, again, a design, and then it says Wet n Wild on here. When you open it up, it is a standard cardboard type of packaging. It does have like a nice matte texture to it, so I do like that. You open it up, you don't get a mirror, but you go right into the palette. It is a total of 40 shades, a mixture of mattes and shimmers. Okay, so everybody went on and on and on about how this palette was a dupe for the James Charles palette, which Haley was kind enough to let me borrow her palette, and I started to do, is it a dupe or just a waste of money with this palette? I will tell you guys, I became so frustrated with the palettes that I just stopped it and decided to film this video. So looking at the palette side by side, yeah, I mean, you would think, oh my gosh, this is a dupe. I will tell you guys, when we are comparing them, if you are comparing it for the aspect of a rainbow palette, you will be able to get very, very similar, comparable looks when using some of the colors in these shades. I will tell you, the biggest difference that I found when it came to the James Charles palette up against this Wet n Wild palette is the Wet n Wild palette has not only a lot of inconsistencies, but the textures are very, 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 very different when it comes to some of the shades in the James Charles palette. For example, I mean, this shade was off, the blues are off, these teals were off. There was a lot of inconsistencies as far as that goes. So as far as James Charles saying that they duped it, I wouldn't say this was a dupe. When I look at dupes, when I do, is it a dupe or just a waste of money? I'm not necessarily looking to dupe the formula. I'm looking to dupe the colors. I'm looking to be able to create a cohesive look that looks darn near similar to where nobody would be able to guess the fact that I have two different palettes on. Now going back to the palette, I would say there are a few shades in there that you could get away with doing that with, but I will say overall I did not feel like this was a great dupe whatsoever to the James Charles palette. There are definitely better dupes out there, and I will be bringing you guys, is it a dupe or just a waste of money, with a palette I did find off of Amazon. I showed you guys the palette in a live, so I will definitely be doing that. So I want to focus more on talking about my experience with this palette. I filmed now 3 different looks with this. I scrapped 2 of them. This look that I have on today, all the mattes on my eyes were from this palette. I will tell you, the mattes in this palette are amazing. I love the Wet n Wild mattes. I have some of their 10-pan palettes, and I think that's something that I've always said that I really enjoy about Wet n Wild, is I really like their mattes. I like the price point of their products, and I do enjoy the way that I can build up on their mattes. I can blend them out. I don't have an issue, and they do last a long period of time. What I will tell you is there were so many inconsistencies when it came to the shimmers in this palette. That had me so annoyed and so frustrated. I hard panned this one, which I know you guys told me if I take a piece of tape, I can peel the coating off and it won't be hard panned anymore, but that was an issue. But for example, this was pressed really, really firm, but like right in the exact same row, this shade was not pressed as firm, and it was almost, when you go to swatch it, it was more of like a crumbly type of consistency, if that makes sense. Same with the, you know, some of these shades you could use with like your flat shader Olimar brush or a Luxie brush or any type of flat type of brush, and you could get it to work really, really well, but then you would try other shimmers where you'd get 0 payoff if you tried to use that. And I'm sure that that is kind of normal when, you know, working with some formulas, but At the same time, I work with a lot of affordable palettes, I feel like. Example, C Color Cosmetics, Alter Ego. And I feel like all of their shimmers, all of their mattes, and every single palette that I have been reviewing on my channel, maybe in the beginning there was some inconsistencies, and I did hard pan a couple shades and a C Color Cosmetics palette. But I feel like they corrected it, and I've not had that issue since. And this company's been around a lot longer. So for me personally, this was a $20 palette plus, well, it was $19.99 plus shipping. So after shipping, it came to like $26. You guys could pick up an Alter Ego palette or a C Color Cosmetics palette, and you wouldn't have to pay that much, and you get better quality. If you want really good mattes, you will enjoy the mattes in this palette. But I will also say, for $12 and you're wanting a rainbow palette, you guys, like, granted, I don't know if they look like this still. I bought this in 2016. Yes, it still works, I promise. Here's a BH Cosmetic palette. This, I just checked it on the website. It's like 12 bucks, guys, and I like this better. And the mattes work perfectly. I don't have any issues, and like I said, the Wet n Wild mattes, I didn't have any issues with the mattes. But this palette, if you are just wanting a matte rainbow palette, just go for this, guys. It's 12 bucks. BH Cosmetics has really good shadows. So anyways, that is my thoughts on this Wet n Wild palette. I don't think it's the worst palette in the world by any means, but I feel like if you want more consistency, I would just go with like BH Cosmetics and pick a rainbow palette up there, or Coastal Scents is a good one too. I do have some of the Coastal Scent palettes. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I am a little annoyed that I did spend my money on it, because I really expected it to be a better quality palette than I feel like it is. That's just my thoughts. That's just my opinions. Okay, to each their own. You may think this palette is amazing, but I think too, it all depends on what you're looking for in a palette. And I want consistency with my shimmers. I like when my shimmers work better without hard panning right away. And I feel like I had a lot of issues with hard panning in that palette. So anyways, guys, don't forget I still have 2 giveaways going on my channel. I'll have them linked in the description box down below. A lot of you guys have asked, how can we help support your channel? I have a Patreon link down below. I'll also have linked and listed. I've been trying to pin it in the comments section. Thank you, and hello, and welcome to some of our new Patreons that have joined our family. Thank you guys so much for supporting our channel. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram and Twitter, and check my description box for my second channel, as well as both of my daughter's channels, and any other information I may have below. Let me know if you guys have picked up the Wet n Wild palette. Let me know you guys' thoughts on the shimmers. Like I said, the mattes were great. Shimmers, not so much my jam. I wasn't really thrilled with those. So I will be doing Is It a Dupe or Just a Waste of Money with the James Charles palette up against the Changeable Fantasy palette. This is a mini, I guess you could call it, size palette that I got off of Amazon. It definitely, texture-wise, color-wise, definitely appears to be more similar to the James Charles palette than the Wet n Wild palette. But I don't hear him suing them, or whatever. I'm like, sweetie, you did not create a rainbow palette. I bought this back in 2016. I think you were still in middle school. Okay, I'm gonna hop off here. Anyways, guys, until next time, as always, I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful, and blessed day. Kisses from Kentucky. Bye.